Hello and welcome to World Talks here on TVP World with me, Ashim Kumar. Soon, Donald Trump will be inaugurated as the 47th US president, his second time in that role. However, this time the energy around him is much less confrontational, most clearly visible from the unanimous support that he is receiving from the tech titans. From Elon Musk to Mark Zuckerberg and everyone in between, the wealthiest men in the world are lining up in support of Trump's second presidency. What can we attribute this shift to, and what does it tell us about Trump's tech vision? Well, to explore these and related questions, I am joined by Dorota Haller. She's Vice President, International Advertising Association, Poland. Dorota, welcome.
Thank you for having me. Hello.
Thanks for taking the time. So, I mean, it really is a shift, isn't it? I mean, if we think back to 2016, all the way up until now, most of the tech titans, and I'm excluding Elon Musk here, were really more anti-Trump than pro. Now here, they've gone all in with Trump. What happened?
Well, it's big business. So I think they are also calculating their businesses. So on one hand, I think it's a particular business decision that it's better to be with the administration rather than against. And it's not about values and personal views, but rather business, on one hand. On the other hand, I think that there is this true belief that it's now or never where United States have the chance to win or not win this tech leadership in the world versus China and versus some new economies. And I think if they don't, or maybe they think if they don't do this together, they're not going to win. So I think that
why didn't they do this with Biden?
Because Biden administration was less focused or less verbal about business, maybe. Maybe they were focused, but they were not talking about it so much. Trump's campaign was extremely strong, very clear, and very straightforward. Also about making America great again, and being about America. Biden talked about, peace in the world and Ukraine and very important matters, but he is not so strong in his messaging. This is my domain, marketing and communications. He was not strong enough, nor was Kamala Harris's campaign.
So this is much more business-focused messaging, which the tech titans can kind of relate to. Now, let's start with Elon Musk, because there are a number of players that I want to bring up in our time together. Start with Elon Musk. He contributed, I believe, about $250 million to Trump's campaign and of course, his election and inauguration. Now, he's gone in with both feet, he used to be a Democrat. So again, there's something, and he shifted before all the rest, before the results were out, before he knew that Trump was going to win. What changed with Elon Musk, do you think?
Politically, I think many Democrats are disappointed. As simple as that. They are just disappointed what happened. On the other hand, he is appointed as lead of Department of Government Efficiency.
Yes.
It's a new creation, right? And it's a very business model, I think. Department of Government Efficiency. So the government is inefficient, it's overcrowded, too bureaucratic and too slow. Again, to my first point, when we talk business and when we talk technology, one has to be fast and fierce, and I think Elon Musk showed that. I heard some podcasts last night about, and I think this comparison is very true. When you look at NASA versus SpaceX, NASA used to be the most progressive, the most innovative organization in the world. Now it's SpaceX. So I think the answer is President Trump wants to speed up, and Elon Musk wants to speed up being on this bandwagon.
Right. So Elon Musk has shown, through his companies, you mentioned SpaceX, but the others too, that he knows a little bit about running an efficient business model.
Absolutely.
And he's doing this DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency, alongside Vivek Ramaswamy, who's also a very successful businessman, right? So they seem to have that in common. But again, what was it about Musk that attracted Trump to him? Apart from his efficiency, was there something else that they have in common?
Well, in my opinion, it's hunger for power. You know, these are very powerful people, and politics and money mixed together is the ultimate power. The truth is that Elon Musk doesn't need to do anything anymore. You know,
right.
He's a very creative businessman, extremely successful, and super wealthy. I mean, it's not even very wealthy, it's like uber wealthy, if you will. So he doesn't need to do anything. I think it just excites him, and he wants to be successful. This is his personality. And I think they can both win on it. On the other hand, I see a conflict of interest there, very, very clear. Because, you know, if you're part of the government and you are running a business at the same time, where is this
the line between them?
Yes, it's very blurred, and I think it's dangerous.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, some would argue that you can't have businesses that size without enormous government partnerships in different areas, but that's another issue. Now, let's move on to Mark Zuckerberg. Now, he has recently come out and said, well, look, you know, the fact finders that we had used previously, we're getting rid of them, and we're introducing community notes to maintain the level of truth, if you like, on Facebook. Again, quite a shift. I mean, he has been accused, hasn't he, Zuckerberg? He has been accused of allowing anti-democratic messages on Facebook to be suppressed and anti-Trump messages to be, you know, at the fore. By admitting this change, is he admitting that he was actually participating in some kind of election interference?
Well, it's hard to say, but I think, again, there are two aspects. One aspect is business aspect. It's a huge cost to have all these fact checkers. You know, if you think about the organization like Facebook or like Meta, it's huge. So I think this is efficiency again, maybe on the wrong end of the efficiency, but efficiency. On the other hand, clearly, there is this political shift that all of these big tech leaders want to be friends with Trump and his administration for whatever reasons, maybe particularly because of their businesses, maybe bigger because they want to make America great again. And sorry for quoting this all the time, but I think it is so symptomatic and so important, actually, the message. I think it's wrong, and I think that saying about this, the narrative of freedom of speech is misleading, because a business owner or leader has to take responsibility for their business. This is my opinion. And Meta has the biggest platforms in the world, Facebook, Instagram, and now with TikTok being banned and not banned, nobody knows what's happening, it's back up again. But you know, who takes care of the messaging? If you look at young teenagers or senior citizens, they read content on Facebook. They don't think about it, who created this. They don't think about whether it's misinformation or whether it's true. I think it's very dangerous, and I think platforms, social media platforms, should take responsibility for the content.
Well, X has addressed it with using community notes. Now Facebook is doing the same thing. And I mean, you don't think that's enough?
I don't think it's enough. And I think it's, again, shifting responsibility to the users rather than to the owners. And this is not long-term efficient and effective. And I don't think it's going to work, simply.
Okay, so I mean, I think this conversation is going to go on. And
Yes.
I'm not sure that there is a clear answer, but we shall see how the argument evolves. Let's look at it the other way around, from Trump's perspective. How does he view the tech sector? I mean, he's talked about, we all know how he feels about drilling and oil and gas, you know. We all know how he feels about internal security, for example, the border, Panama Canal. He's always been very clear about these things, but tech, he hasn't said an enormous amount about it, but clearly he feels it's strategically important. What do you think is going on in his head?
He won these elections based on economy, right? So Americans, they feel that their lives are not as good as they used to be. So in terms of economy, the biggest growth of economy is going to be in tech. AI revolution is here. It's going to accelerate in the speed we don't even imagine. So I think the foresight is that you know, it's the future, and he needs this. I understand that he needs it because, you know, it's not the auto industry, it's not Detroit, it's Silicon Valley today. And I think in order to modernize and make the government efficient, he needs all of those tech leaders. He had dinner with Bill Gates. I don't know if you've heard and the viewers heard the comment from Bill Gates. I think it's very interesting that Bill Gates now says very interesting conversation,
yes.
and that maybe with President Trump, there will be help of creating new vaccines and eradicating some illnesses. It's a very, very surprising shift. Mr. Trump was not all pro-vaccine and pro this kind of progress, and Mr. Gates was not a big friend of Mr. Trump. So the whole thing is changing right here and right now. And this inauguration, I think, is going to give us some more exciting news, shifts and surprises.
Yeah.
And this government will empower more President Trump. This had been already said, and his cabinet is also very surprising.
Well, certainly. I mean, certainly they are disruptive, and
disruptive is the word.
And most of them don't have experience in politics, or very little. Tulsi Gabbard's an exception, but the rest of them pretty much don't. You mentioned AI, and I just want to just for a minute focus on that. Now, AI is clearly something that's growing exponentially. Its use is being, recognized across various industries and fields. But there is a downside, as always, with these new developments, and that is, of course, what's going to happen to the people whose jobs are replaced through the use of AI. Mm-hmm. Now, this is clearly something Trump's going to have to address very quickly. You mentioned that he wants to, grow the AI part of his industry, but what then?
Well, I think it's a never-ending discussion. When social media were launched, there was the same discussion, especially in my field, marketing, that the jobs will be taken and there will be no real media, and it will be just the end of the world, pretty much. This is the skeptics. The enthusiasts said that it will help us grow, and I think it's good to be realistic about this. And in my opinion, realism is some jobs will be taken, but these will be the, let's say, very simple jobs, and some jobs will be created. So there will be a shift, like with the printing machine, like with the internet, like with the social media. It's just very fast growth, but I don't think it's the end of people working. Maybe, unfortunately.
No catastrophe.
No, I don't think so. Not yet.
In the making, not yet. No, certainly. And we hope that that's the way it works out. I mean, I'm sure you're right. There is a gradual shift in the skills that are needed as the economy evolves. Now, let's go to TikTok. Okay, so there's a quick summary of what's happened so far.
Well, it's announced to be by Supreme Court that it's a national security issue. So very serious message. It's being turned off. American users think it's not going to happen. It happens. So actually the implementation went very fast, which I'm impressed with, because it's not so easy to turn off 170 million users, 7 million businesses in America. Obviously, I'm just giving these numbers to show the magnitude, and it's not so difficult. I guess you just switch it off. But then to bring it back up. My question is it really a national security, or is it not? It was said it is. So what's going on here? President, CEO of TikTok is invited to the inauguration, among other tech leaders we just talked about. I understand that there will be a presidential order to move this ban forward to analyze some data. I think it is populist.
Right.
And not understandable from security point of view, but understandable from political short-term benefits. So many people are on TikTok in America.
Right. Okay. So, but Trump was anti-TikTok in his last incarnation as president. But this time around, again, as you say, there's a conflict between, are we banning free speech on social media? Against the argument which says, well, the Chinese are influencing our kids and gathering information and data from our society. So the Supreme Court has said this is not a suppression of free speech, and therefore it's perfectly okay for TikTok to be banned, and Trump wants this delayed, as you've just said. And he said recently, we just heard in the news, that it's because of the young users of TikTok, yes, who actually voted for him, surprisingly, because they don't normally vote for Republicans. But also, he was talking about a shift of ownership, the 50% belonging to a US company. Do you think that might solve the problem altogether? I mean, is that going to stop the Chinese gathering data?
Well, with technology, there is no ambiguity. You know what's going on there. You know, experts know what's going on there. Experts know whether this data is being taken or not. So this is number one. Ambiguity doesn't exist in technology.
Right.
I think yes. If the company is owned by United States owners, American owners, then the problem stops existing, right? Because it's just all the data stays within the United States, like in the EU. You know, we have data protection laws, and data stays here.
Well, we'll see how that pans out. Thank you very much, Dorota, for joining us and sharing your expertise with our audience.
Thank you very much for having me.
And that's all from us on World Talks. Goodbye.